I guess let's go down in order, and I'll have everyone introduce themselves as I see them in order here. So, Fawn.
Yeah, sure. So you can call me Fawn. I typically do art, and for this game jam, I decided to do programming instead. So we all decided to swap roles this game jam, so you'll see some interesting stuff.
Nice. All right. Jonathan.
Yeah, that's me. I typically do programming, and I also did programming, which is totally a role swap. I also did some of the level design.
All right. And we've also got LunacyEcho.
Hello, I'm Looney. You can call me Looney. And usually on our team, I do things like story and level design. This time, I did music.
Nice. Yeah, I totally see what you mean about playing musical chairs with your regular roles.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
All right. So let's get into the actual game here. Anything else that I should know about it before I get started? Just about the
Um,
project in general?
I mean, just contextually, I think maybe the important thing is that our team has done like a couple of LDs in the past, and the reason we wanted a role swap was just to expand and like try out new things. So there might be some things that seem a bit incoherent, or like things that people who normally do those things might not make those choices. But I think overall, we'll let you get your own impressions.
No
Yeah,
problem.
and this is our like fourth, I think fourth in a row, fourth game jam in a row as a team, something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, what was your inspiration behind this game? Because it says that your URL is literally just Undertale. I assume maybe Undertale.
um, so we didn't realize that once you submit a placeholder game that you can't change the URL afterwards. So
Oh, that's all right. Uh, anyway, it should just be called Timmy's Very Bad School Day. But was Undertale actually a influence in the or inspiration?
It's actually kind of a funny in joke on our team because every time that we do Let 'em Dare, we're like, yeah, let's just make Undertale this time because we all kind of like it. Yeah, I mean, I personally think Undertale's a great game. So it's just kind of a joke. Ironically, like I don't even think this game in particular was that Undertale inspired, but we can't escape its
this might be our
reputational
least
pull.
Undertale game yet. There's no pacifist run.
Okay, interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not necessarily going to be able to read all the dialogue as I'm actually playing it here. Let me punch in just a little bit further. There we go. Um, okay, Timmy's going to detention until he stops being a huge loser. Okay. No one really wants to say goodbye. Ouch. This is the end of the line, Timmy. Oh my goodness. Press X to get angry. All right, here we go. Okay, and this is insults. Wait, how do I actually navigate? Oh, okay, it's a mouse based. Okay. Um, I just didn't realize that I would be using the mouse to make selections. This is going to be a game that I have to replay because I do want to read all the dialogue. But um, let's move on with the questions then. So, what was the development process like for the game?
I guess what do you mean by that? Because we sort of started out with the concept of let's do like a high school JRPG. We were playing around with a bunch of different ideas that could be inspired. But you might want to press up and down on the arrow keys. Yep.
Yeah, I was just sort of getting it towards the end.
Nice. Um, and like as we were playing around with various ways we could insert things like mental or emotional instability into like a typical high school RPG kind of thing. Um, we we ended up like trying to this battle system is sort of how we like merged the things. So I guess would you like us to explain how it works, or do you want us to do you want to keep trying and
I'm just piecing together how. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I've got to go for the words as they appear in the sentence. Okay, got it. Yeah, again, this is very much on me for having my brain split three ways. All right, so we got a hall pass. We can go anywhere our heart desires.
Yeah, well done.
That's Steve, and this is student. Okay, so we're back into so insult combat is the general modus operandi of this game.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, got a hall pass. Oh, how do I? Oh, okay. I was just stuck on the door. Okay. All right. So we've got our objective. We're trying to leave doors out. Can't seem to make our way out. Is everyone named some variation of Steve? Oh no, just this. Okay. So doors seem to be evil doors. Okay, got it. Yeah, so wow, how was this did you start with the like the combat system in mind and then you built the world around it, or like how did that all go down?
It was actually kind of the opposite, where we spent a lot of time on the story and the overworld, and our battle system for like the first 2 days was just an insult button, which dealt damage. And on day 2, we were like, okay, this isn't gonna fly, and so we kind of went back to the drawing board and came up with this insult mechanic. And I think it kind of tied things together pretty well.
Yeah, massive kudos to Fawn and our other coder, Mike, who's not here right now, for like just coming up with that in the last day, because I feel like it really tied the game together nicely.
Yeah, not just coming up with it, but also like making it happen like this in literally like 30 hours, less than that, I think. Which I was personally really impressed by as someone who doesn't understand coding whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to just get a handle on how this is all supposed to work. Huh? And
You're
GTV.
doing pretty good.
GTV. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's no canonical pronunciation for that name.
I think it's a full glottal stop, so that's a GTV.
Never mind, that's now the canonical pronunciation.
All right. Looks like we've got the image not found on the ropes here. Yeah, I'm almost just sort of like overwhelmed by like the creativity and the presentation of everything that's been done here. And it's all the more impressive considering you did the like musical chairs of everyone tackling something different. So, would you say that the overall experiment was a success?
I think so. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I totally think so. Just completely different to what I'm used to. Had to resist like sometimes jumping in and like working what I was familiar with, because coding is not what I typically do. But I think I just learned a lot. Like it just forced me to learn a whole lot about Godot that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Oh yeah, we use Godot for this.
Yeah. So speaking of which, can you recommend a useful shortcut or a clever hack in the Godot engine that would be useful to others? And if multiple people have answers, I guess, Fawn, do you have one?
Can you get back to me?
Oh, absolutely. Jonathan?
Oh, that's such a good question. Let me think for a second. Oh, I got one. Tool scripts in Unity, or not Unity, sorry. I was thinking like, Unity, Godot. So yeah, tool scripts in Godot are really powerful, really easy to use. Just add the word tool on the top of your script and now it runs in the editor along with the game, which is like super useful if you want to like see how things might look when you're playing the game. It's really powerful and so easy to do. I'm always like nervous about making tool scripts, I think, because I remember like when I tried to do the same thing in Unity, like there's like lots of like complications and things to remember, and like Godot just like makes it so straightforward. Yeah, which is super nice. Totally recommend it. I could have even used them more.
Yeah, nice. I know there is ways to make scripts run in editor as well in Unity, but I know what you mean. It's definitely a bit more of a runaround.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, as Lucretius is saying, it's really cool that you can meta toolboxing in Godot is insane. There's so much flexibility. You can extend literally everything.
Oh man, yeah, I love that.
Lunacy, do you happen to have a recommendation with the Godot engine?
All I really know how to use Godot for is to move around like scene elements the way that johnfn tells me to. But I will say I do think that like for someone who like is not as much of a coder as Fawn or johnfn or like the other members of our team, like the parts of it that I was like involved with were still really intuitive and easy to use, like for someone who doesn't understand like code stuff. Like it's very intuitive for non-coders, I think, working with other coders.
Okay, well, in the if you can talk more about what program did you use to make the music with?
Oh, I used Logic Pro X, which I think our usual musician also uses. Uh, and I mean, it was pretty useful. Although I will say for like game developers who are just starting out with music, something like GarageBand or FL Studio might be a bit more intuitive, I think, for newer people.
Yeah, all right. And I mean, like along those lines, do you have a tip or suggestion for anyone using Logic Pro X?
I would say that like I definitely copy and paste like you know loops and beats and stuff a lot more than I guess one might be recommended to, but I feel like it's still very possible to make hopefully engaging music regardless. Like I know our standard musician is like an actual like score writer, you know, like sometimes like writes for orchestra and that kind of stuff, and like um that is a really like it seems really daunting to try to do something like that, something that complicated. But if you just like start out with like coming up with like a simple beat or a simple melody for a couple measures and loop it a bunch and then just keep adding stuff to it, eventually like it'll evolve into something cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not remotely musically inclined, so I can totally appreciate the theory of what you're describing. It's just not something that I'm ever going to have the opportunity to implement myself. But I hope others watching also appreciate the advice you're sharing. And Fawn, did you happen to think of something about the Godot engine you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I think it's not specifically about Godot. This is my first time really using Godot, so most of what I learned this time around was kind of fundamentals. I'd say more about the process. One thing that I did along with our other programmer was we were working on the same scene on elements that are pretty intertwined. And so to not get in each other's ways, we spent some time up front defining like an API and how they were going to talk to each other.
Nice.
And we were able to basically both work heads down separately, and we had this shared API, and everything came together really well at the end, which I think saved us a lot of time and headache. So I recommend that.
Absolutely. It's you're always trying to avoid stepping on each other's toes when you're working on a team project, especially a larger scale or one that you're working really quickly in the scope of a jam. What program were you using to coordinate development, by the way?
We used a whole bunch of things. We all have our own Discord server, which is what we use to coordinate for most things. We had like a shared doc where we put all kinds of like more longer standing decisions, and we had meetings every day where we put notes on what the next most important things to tackle would be. And then we also had a Trello where we put more like granular tasks and who was working on what and what the progress would look like. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I'd
Nice.
like to like shill out the magic of Dropbox paper, which is incredibly helpful and useful for coordinating this. It's like Google Docs, but better, I think. Not that I work for Dropbox, but
I do have to ask, what is the usage of cry supposed to be? Because it seems like anytime I click cry, I just regain and then immediately lose the same amount of health.
uh, let's say it's a nihilistic statement about how to cope with no. It was meant. It was meant to be a way to heal up, and then by healing, you would also take more damage in the next hit. But I think that's one of the things that we were meant to sort of balance out, and then ran out of time to do so. So I think at the moment, Cry just extends the battle without making any actual impact on the combat.
So is there any way to actually top up back to full health other than dying?
I believe there is, and like this is something that we were talking about like after Lundark was over, that maybe we should have made this more obvious. There is a recycling bin in one of the rooms that allows you to top back up.
Okay, I guess I haven't come across it just yet. Oh, there's a
Getting
stick. Oh, there it
closer.
is. Inspect recycling bin. Here's some food in here. Oh, well, didn't actually need that yet. Stapler. Or is it? Okay, let's get angry at a stapler.
There you go.
So how did you all come up with the like general story and plot? That's these characters, this scenario. Like where did that all come from?
God, I like someone wrote down like Japanese elite high school into our like brainstorming doc, and I was like, I love Japanese elite high school. That is a great setting. And I feel like we kind of just ran with that, you know. And then like we were thinking about we thought about the theme unstable and like instability, and we were like, man, like we would love it if like like the character like got really angry if like the game itself maybe became a little unstable, you
Yeah,
know.
as
And so
opposed
we
to
were
this
like
battle where you're
combining
trying
those
to
two ideas.
unstable.
Yeah, I think so. I think I pitched the idea initially, and this is not at all what I had in mind. So we spent maybe like 5 hours on day one brainstorming, and every good idea that we came up with, we then just like reworked and everyone added stuff, and they kind of grew to these completely different ideas. So this idea, yeah, stemmed out of like a Japanese ARPG where you're in like an elite high school and everyone's kind of going a little mad. Um, and I think everyone had a different take on that, and it kind of grew into what you see now.
Nice. Well, I think it ends up being remarkably cohesive for the fact that it was. Would you say that like anyone in particular like took point and led the direction where the story was going?
We did have a one of our team members who usually does all programming this time took on the story. So he wrote all of the one-liners that you see, all the insults. He also decided which bosses you would fight and where, and kind of the overall progression. So once we decided on our idea, he kind of took on defining the story and the pacing and all of that stuff. But until then, we were all kind of working together to develop the general direction.
Nice.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about this idea was like how it kind of came from all of us, you know, rather than just like one person like coming up with it and then like being like, here's your idea, you know, like I feel like all of our like personalities kind of reflect in the idea a little bit. But yeah, our other programmer was definitely responsible for a lot of the like the details of like the story and all these like awesome insults and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was wondering if you all like had a did this happen? Like, did you all like suggest various insults for the various boss battles, or
It was sort of just all him. Like at
wow?
the end of the first day, like we were like checking in, like I was like, oh cool, I have like 1.5 songs written. Our artist is like, I have these assets, and then like Arch just said, here's a whole list of like all the insults we're gonna use for the entire game. Um, like incredibly impressive. I thought, and that's what we used to build. The fact that he was done with that so quickly meant that we could actually focus on like developing this battle system as well.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like working with him, and he was like, for the first day, he was just like busting out insults the entire day. He was doing like 10 an hour or something. I just like would like look over at him every now and then. He'd have like the thesaurus open for inspiration. It was pretty funny to see. And then like he was super enthused to like get back on the coding too. He's like, "Oh, this is really nice."
Oh yeah, sort of in like the last 12 hours, a lot of us just like reverted to what we normally do, just like to save the game, kind of. And despite the fact that some of us did that, I still think that like we are justified in calling it a role swap, even though some of us did go back to our original roles. I think that
This is, I love the meta commentary at the end here. This is very funny. Although, oh boy.
Yeah, I imagine it's quite hard to do this and also talk at the same time.
Yeah, no,
So
like-
props to you.
think about engaging questions and be a good interviewer. Like honestly, so many kudos.
Very much appreciated. It's not easy. And usually, like, unfortunately, there's definitely moments where someone's saying something, I'm like, yeah, okay. So the next question, yeah, I sort of came to the resolution that anything that's happening on screen is the least important. If people are watching the gameplay, it's to have a little bit of visual going along with what's actually being said, which I hope is the real focus and the real draw of what's happening here. And then, of course, I want to keep my eye on chat as well. I want to engage with the people, and then the game, hopefully people are giving the game a try themselves to actually get a feel for what it's like, and I'm not just sitting here spoiling it for them. But yeah, and I'm also trying to like think of things to say other than just my boilerplate questions, because I want to like dig into the actual design of the game, and like I'm trying to think of like what questions would other people have about this game, what do other people want to know about it. And that being said, this is something that I've been forgetting consistently, but if anyone in chat has any questions they would like to pass on to the developers, please post your questions. That is the whole point, and I will make sure that I read them out. So all that being said, were there, yeah, I guess I'm curious about the overall scenario design. Like, how did all that end up coming together? Was it all just, sorry, I don't know, did you mention the programmer's name?
So I was one of the programmers, and then Jonathan was the other programmer, and then we had a third, our story writer. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, like you kept referring to somebody who wasn't part of this call, and
right,
yeah,
his name is Arch. Yeah.
Arch. Yeah.
Okay. So was Arch primarily responsible for the direction the story ended up taking?
That's right. And then on the last day,
Got
he
it.
kind of jumped in and took on a few extra tasks.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Jonathan and Arch just like kind of bug stomped for the entirety of Monday.
Nice. Yeah, so is the battle with the game the very last one here?
There's technically one more, but
okay.
that one's sort of a victory lap.
Yeah, it's quite a long game, and it gets quite hard at the end too. So props to you for making it this far, to be honest.
Yeah, especially since like there are also a few power-ups that are hidden around the school that I wasn't watching the entire time, I think, but I'm not sure if you got any, which is like just makes this even more impressive, honestly.
No, I had a feeling that I was like, oh, I wonder if I could just go straight for the door and not battle anyone else. And it's like, okay, well, I made it past the door, but it doesn't seem like I'm making it past the game anytime soon.
I can't believe you beat the door. I also can't believe that like you've been reading all these insults and also have managed to interview us without insulting us at all, which by accident, of course. But...
Oh my goodness, I thankfully I'm not terrible about like reading something and then just saying it out loud and transposing what I meant to actually say. Yeah, so in terms of the overall game, like do you have plans on like where you want to take this from now? Like, has the feedback been good enough that it warrants further development?
So far we haven't gotten a ton of people playing this. At least I don't think we have gotten it out there really. We haven't really been rating games yet ourselves. So I think we're kind of waiting for more feedback, and that will probably determine the direction we take it in. I think we all have our own kind of pet peeves and things that we'd like to fix up in the next week or so. For me, it's, I think the insults are so good, and I really want to make sure that people have time to read them and like understand them. Some of them are a little more subtle than others. So I think finding what the proper balance between the speed of combat, like the punchiness of the combat, and making sure that everyone has enough time to like take in everything fully is kind of what I would like to focus on.
Yeah, I can totally imagine a version of the combat system where you have the insult printed out first and then like in like large block lettering, and then that kind of like recedes to the top of the screen, and then you get the sort of battle track appearing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
that's
would be
cool.
awesome.
That just kind of primes you to keep an eye out for like, oh, okay, these are the words that I need to look at, and then um hello, Kenny person. Welcome back to the stream. I am doing well, and yes, this game is a lot of fun. I am so sad to hear that you have not gotten much in the way of feedback. So everyone needs to rectify that and go try it out themselves. I'm dropping the link in chat again. Um, but yeah, I do hope that you get more feedback on the game, because I can totally imagine a more polished version of this where you've got although I do love the creative limitations on resources. We've got Steve and Teve and the various colored characters here, but
Yeah, who needs
oh,
different
Yeah.
NPC assets when you like recolor the one you have?
Exactly. Yeah. Who needs walk cycles when you can just, zoom along the carpet?
Yeah, canonically, Timmy has Heelys, and that's how he slides everywhere.
oh, that's great. Um, all right. So, are there any other like anecdotes or features of the game that you'd like to draw attention to?
I think almost all of us had a cameo in this game in some way. So this person you're fighting right now, Michael Wave Oven, is the nickname of our story writer. So um, he kind of put a lot of work into including all of us into the game in some way, and I think it's pretty awesome.
Nice. I think it's always fun to have those sort of Easter eggs. That's definitely fun. Like it's fun for anyone who recognizes it, but it's always fun for the developers themselves.
Yeah, like I'm
Um,
pretty sure no one will recognize it except for us, but it's it's still fun.
Yeah, and I think that like a big part of like our philosophy in working together to make the game was that we wanted it to be sort of fun for everyone, and like having it be fun for everyone sort of superseded the concept of like making a super coherent and polished game for us, I think. And I don't know, I certainly enjoyed my time. I don't know about the others.
Yeah, we had a decision point on the brainstorm day of two different games, one of which felt like it was going to be a very polished, cohesive game that we knew we could probably do a really good job on. And the other one was this idea, which was a bit bigger, a bit less well defined, had more decision points, but we ultimately felt like we would just have more fun building this out, and so we decided to go with that instead.
nice. I realized I got a coin, but I don't know where to redeem it.
The coins
Yeah,
don't
those
do
are in
anything.
fact entirely useless.
Oh. Well, I wasn't sure because you said there was just like some other power ups I could get elsewhere in school, but then
Every single time we work together, like on our list of things to do is like we need to have a shop this time, and we always like this is like the second or third time we've had coins and nowhere to use them. uh, but also, I personally feel like getting coins is more fun than spending coins.
this is true. All right. Well, I think we'll start to wrap things up there. So if anyone has any questions in chat, now is your last chance to get them in. But otherwise, where can people find you all on social media? And do you have any other projects that you'd like to plug?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that like since like none of us are like like super full-time game developers. We don't like have like a social media team or anything like that, or like a social media account for our team. If you want to check out a more polished game, our game from the last game jam was actually I thought more polished than this one, but
Yeah, I would say just follow us on Ludum Dare if you're interested in seeing our next games. We typically work together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've taken all of that.
yeah, next LD we might have like a Mondo team though, but
All right. So, which game in particular would you recommend people check out?
Far-fetched.
Far-fetched,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, we were actually all in our proper roles for that one, and we try hard at it a little bit. So I think we're all pretty proud of that
a
one.
bit more than Timmy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure to one by one here repost each of your profiles. I mean, every one of you has worked together on each of these games, right?
More or less, yeah. The core team has always been the same, and sometimes we have one or two people come in and out. But yeah, more or less same team.
Nice. All right. Well, there we go. That is finally everybody. And yeah, you're just Kenny Person was asking if this team has a Twitter, but you were just saying that not yet. Is that something you're going to consider maybe getting?
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should if we like end up doing more game jams than just LD every year.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all hopping in the call and joining me on this interview. It's been a lot of fun to play through the game. I'm sorry that I couldn't play it better, but I hope everyone in chat gives it a try. I'm going to repost it one more time as we wrap things up here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was
thank you for
super fun
playing
to
our
see.
fun game.
Absolutely. I would love to see any other future projects that any of you are involved with. So please feel free to submit them to the Discord anytime.
Thanks so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.